Are there connections between extreme rhetoric and extreme behavior? That question is being asked because of the shooting last weekend in Nevada, where a couple obsessed with radical right-wing politics and conspiracy theories attacked and killed two police officers as they ate lunch. The killers were Jared and Amanda Miller. They marked the officers' bodies with a "Don't Tread on Me" flag and a swastika. When investigators searched for a reason for the attack, they found a long trail of hate posted on the Millers' social media sites. And some observers said it sounded a lot like the rhetoric heard on some, not all, but some right-wing radio shows and websites. So are there connections to be drawn? Well, John Avlon of CNN and the Daily Beast says yes, there are, and he made the case in a provocative column this week. John, thanks for joining me.
Pleasure, Brian.
You wrote about this topic at the Daily Beast this week. You said that the shooter, one of the shooters, Jared Miller, was a product of his environment, the unhinged right-wing echo chamber. What's the evidence for that?
Well, one of the things Jared Miller left behind and his wife Amanda was a treasure trove of social media likes and shares that really allow you to trace the evolution of his quote-unquote ideology as he got progressively more unhinged. And what you saw is a steady diet of this hyper-partisan media echo chamber, really on the fringe, something that maybe isn't beyond right-wing but fright-wing. Conspiracy entrepreneurs like Alex Jones, strong affiliation with the arguments that are made on his show InfoWars about how this nation is in conflict between tyranny and freedom and people need to choose sides. It's what led him to Cliven Bundy's ranch just a few months ago, that kind of rhetoric that gets pumped up through the echo chamber, this prospect of apocalypse. And you saw him trafficking a lot of these conspiracy theories that a lot of these folks in the extreme fringe of partisan media traffic in. So you got to see him parroting these talking points and see ultimately it lead him, unfortunately, to action and a source of dark inspiration.
Are you saying there's a direct connection, that there's blood on the hands of people that promote this kind of rhetoric?
I don't think ultimately there's a direct connection, that it's causality, but there absolutely is a connection. This stuff does not happen in a vacuum. It's the result of an echo chamber. So you want to be very careful about saying that someone's writings leads another person to commit violence.
Right.
I don't think that's ultimately true.
But
But obviously this guy is an unhinged soul who adhered, who latched on to these ideas that are being pumped up by these conspiracy entrepreneurs. And he mainlined this stuff, and then he acted on it.
So what we're saying effectively is words matter. Words matter a lot. And you've pointed out many times this is not strictly an issue on the right. Historically, there has been left-wing violence, particularly in the 1970s.
Absolutely right. I mean, we had domestic terrorist incidents in the late 60s, early 70s that were primarily left-wing, anti-government left-wing groups like the Weathermen, like the Black Panthers.
There was this big Pew Research Center study this week about political polarization and how it's increasing. What stood out to you from that study?
Brian, it is a fascinating and really harrowing study about the costs of the divisions that we've been sowing, and partisan media is a big part of it. I think people need to appreciate that. But the number that really stood out to me, especially as related to this case, is a doubling of the number of people who feel that the other party is a, quote, threat to the nation's well-being. That sense of threat, of not just disagreeing agreeably, or as Thomas Jefferson said, that every difference of opinion is not a difference of principle, but people from the other party are a threat, an existential threat to the country who wish ill upon it. That's the kind of rhetoric, that's the kind of message that may drive up ratings for partisan news hosts, but it can be murder on a democracy because you stop identifying with fellow citizens who have different political beliefs, and ultimately a guy like Jared Miller takes that, exaggerates it, and moves across that line to someplace very dangerous. So that is part of, the hyper-partisan environment we're seeing is absolutely propped up not just by politicians, but by that steady drumbeat of professional polarizers in partisan media, online, talk radio, even cable news. And there's a lot to answer for here on the part of partisan media.
One more issue when it comes to shootings like the one we're talking about in Nevada last weekend. I want to put up a tweet on screen from a co-host of Al Jazeera America. His name is Wajahat Ali. He wrote this: "A terrorist is a terrorist is a terrorist unless he's an angry white American male shooter with emotional issues." Where do you come down on this, John? Should incidents like this one be described as terrorism?
I think in this instance it does. I mean, one of the definitions of terrorism is violence against civilians for a political or ideological purpose. And that absolutely fit what the Millers were attempting to do when they shouted revolution, when they placed a Gadsden flag, the Tea Party-associated Don't Tread on Me flag, over the bodies of the 2 dead police officers and then to put a swastika on top of them to indicate that this was a quote-unquote fascist government. I think you do need to be consistent. We live in a time post 9/11 where most terrorism internationally has a jihadist face. But you need to use consistent terminology. And we've seen right-wing domestic terrorism in the past, particularly in the explosion of the Murrah Federal Building. As we said, we saw left-wing domestic terrorism in the late 1960s, early 70s. So this is an act of domestic terrorism, right-wing domestic terrorism.
Another example of how words matter. John Avalon, thanks for joining me.
That's it. Thank you, Brian.
And one more note on this topic. Words matter. That's the takeaway from the conversation with John. And numbers matter too. You might have heard the number 74 this week. That's how many school shootings have taken place in this country since the one in Newtown. And that's according to the umbrella gun safety group Everytown. That's 74 too many. Scott Pelley led the CBS Evening News with this startling statement after that number came out.
If it seems there is a shooting in a school every week now, a group that keeps count says there nearly is, about one a week since Newtown.
CNN and lots of other outlets also shared that 74 number. But it required independent fact-checking because Everytown has a political agenda here. Everytown used media reports to compile its list, and it counted, among other things, suicides, accidental shootings, and alleged gang activities and drug deals. All of those are terrible events, all worthy of attention. But they're not what the phrase school shooting conjures up. They're not what Newtown reminds us of. CNN subsequently did do its own checking, and it found 15 situations, 15 of the 74, that were similar to Newtown. Again, 15 too many. Then some blogs claimed that CNN had caved to conservatives who had demanded a recount, but that's just not true. Gathering and double-checking data independently is what we're supposed to be doing as journalists, and it need not take away from the horror of each and every gun injury and death in this country. We all know there are too many. Numbers matter here. Accurate numbers matter. After a quick break, I know you've seen Hillary Clinton's answers on her book tour. Well, we're going to analyze the questions she was asked. Stay tuned.